Hey everyone, welcome to Three Guys One Movie. We're just sort of doing like a podcast type episode today. We were just gonna talk about a few underseen gems or like underrated things within certain series that we think not enough people talk about.
This is a very kind of off the cuff kind of thing too.
Yeah, so it's not a list.
It's more just going to be a conversation.
It's more of a discussion kind of video.
Mm-hmm. Falls more into like the podcast type category.
Yeah.
I guess do you want to start off with just a suggestion? That
Okay.
You think...
Well, yeah. Like a week ago now, I've heard people talk about it, and I finally got around to watching a movie from 2002 called May. Starring Angela Bettis and Anna Faris, and that movie is I loved it. I kind of consider it one of my favorite horror movies now. It was such a weird concept, and as it escalates, I was completely invested, and I kind of just thinking about it afterwards. It kind of bothers me that no one really ever talked about it, or no one continues to talk about it. I mean, I thought it was such a cool concept, and it's kind of just shoved under the. And hidden under the rug. I don't know what the fucking. It's late at night, and I'm trying to say shoved under the rug. And, yeah, sorry.
So what's this movie about?
So it's basically this little girl growing up. She had a lazy eye, and she kind of found it hard to make friends and stuff like that and connect with people. So she had this doll that her mother gave her. That was her best friend, basically. Now she's grown up, and she's very antisocial, and also, but she's very awkward around people. She meets this guy in a restaurant, and she's really fascinated by his hands and stuff like that. And a girl, Anna Faris' character, she works with at the veterinarian. She makes a comment about like her neck and stuff like that, and how she tries to connect with all these people on different levels, but just keeps failing. And then, well, I guess spoiler, she makes a doll out of all the people she's trying to encounter. She's encountered throughout the movie, and just cuts them up into pieces and makes a doll out of them. And it kind of comes to life at the end. And I was like, there's a part where she brings this guy over, and she was cat sitting, and she killed the cat by accident and kept it in her freezer. Guy comes in, like, opens the freezer, like, what the fuck, I got a dead cat. And he's like, oh, do you want to be friends? It's like, no, fuck you. And she accidentally kills him. And all of a sudden, she's standing over his dead body, and it's just like, I need more parts. And then from then on, it's her finding all these people that she's interacted with throughout the movie, killing them, chopping them up, and making a doll. And it's like, I don't know, it's just such a weird concept, but I loved it.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
So why is this underrated to you?
Well, it's just, no one really talks about it. Like, I heard, the first time I ever heard about this was, YMS did a video about underrated, horror movies. And that's how I first heard about it. And, yeah, I finally got around to watching it, and, yeah, this movie's amazing. I wish more people were talking about it.
Cool.
Or realized its relevance.
Interesting. Well, an overlooked film for me would be Captain America: First Avenger. It's well received. It had good ratings. Its Rotten Tomatoes is fairly good. I think it should be a little bit higher, but it just seems like it's kind of gotten cast aside in the MCU.
That used to be one of my favorite ones.
But it was really well done for being one of the first MCU films and finally introducing Captain America and stuff. I thought it was really good, and you know what? It worked really well. The fact that it was 1940 World War II era, right? And I thought that it was a really, really well done film that it kind of deserves to have more recognition in the MCU than it does. I think it kind of gets swept to the side and kind of shadowed by Winter Soldier and Civil War, and I think that Captain America has single-handedly the strongest trilogy out of all three of the trilogies so far. And And I think that the first Avenger really obviously starts the entire MCU. I know Iron Man 1 came out first, but First Avenger kind of is literally in the title, First Avenger. It starts everything, and it was really good movie, and I just think it gets underrated. So,
I think nobody has seen a movie called Coherence. I think it's from 2013 or 2014.
Yeah,
around there. But this movie is really out there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, totally grounded. And I don't want to explain too much about it because it's a movie that it's best to watch knowing minimal details. So all I'll tell people about it is that it takes place on the night of an asteroid passing over the Earth, and you get this discussion at the beginning of the movie where people are saying when asteroids pass over close to Earth, strange things start to happen. Like people see things, people say things, they hear things, and the whole thing takes place at a dinner party. Power goes out as the asteroid's passing overhead, and then it's just a series of increasingly strange events happening to this group of people. And it's shot weirdly documentary style, like not found footage, but in a shaky cam way that it almost feels like there's a camera guy in the house with these people, and they are real people. Like, everything about it feels very real, and that's thanks to the fact that apparently the crew actually didn't tell the people in the movie exactly what was going to be happening. So a lot of the time what's happening in the movie is genuine reactions to them messing with people. Mm-hmm. And because of that, you get these really genuine reactions, and it's not a horror film or anything like that. I'd actually consider it more like science fiction.
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of how trippy and weird it gets.
Yeah, I would
but
consider
it's just,
it a horror movie.
I don't want to say anything more than that.
Yeah.
I just... Look it up. Maybe watch a trailer. I think there's like a teaser out there for it. But
honestly, I wouldn't even say watch a trailer.
I think it's on Netflix in Canada and the US, so definitely, if it's one you haven't seen, it's only like 88 minutes. It's real quick. Really cool concept, and they do a lot with a minimal budget. Like,
absolutely,
it's a low budget sci-fi that does it really well.
And like, probably why it got overlooked.
Yeah,
but I read it too. Like the entire film was shot in the director's living room.
Yeah,
and like watching it, you can tell. But I mean, like it doesn't like necessarily.
It doesn't need anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Else.
My only gripe is like the last 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I that kind of like it wasn't necessarily terrible, but like compared to the rest of the movie, that kind of just felt like. I don't know, it didn't work as well for me, but like I like sci-fi like that too, like how it's
I love low budget sci-fi,
smaller scale kind of stuff. Like
and it doesn't use any CG. There's nothing like that. It's just low budget sci-fi that messes with your head.
Like it awesome. Kind of not like it's bigger budget than Coherence, but I mean like Rival, like comparing that to like other more like alien movies and stuff like that. It's much more smaller scale. It's a smaller story, but it fucking amazing movie.
Oh yeah.
Does anybody else want to go? Sorry, I had made a talk about.
I can toss another one out there real quick.
Go ahead.
There's another one from I think it's 2011 or 2012, but a movie called Sound of My Voice that totally flew under the radar. I remember actually, I think in 2011 it was probably my favorite movie that year, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
But it's essentially about this woman who's played by Britt Marling, who wrote the movie as well, who shows up one day, stumbles off the road wearing like no clothes, and starts telling people she's from the future, and that she has this tattoo on her ankle that proves that she's from the future and all this stuff. And everyone's like, oh, she's nuts. But then she actually starts amassing a following in her basement of these people who are convinced she's from the future and is like a prophet who can lead them. And then it follows these two documentary makers, husband and wife, or I think boyfriend and girlfriend, something like that. But they decide they're going to go and try to get into this cult and expose her for being a fraud. But the whole point of the movie is after they get there, they start to actually kind of fall for it. And there's this element of the movie going back and forth the whole time. I'm not going to explain where it goes or anything like that, but just you're supposed to question whether she's telling the truth or not. Like, you as an audience member start to kind of believe her as well.
Yeah.
And the movie is incredibly well written in that regard. Like, it's so strange, and it's something that feels like it almost could be real. Like, if I heard that there was a cult that existed like that, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I guess also real quick, just gonna toss it out there, Britt Marling wrote another movie called Another Earth, which is one of my favorite movies, which is another low budget sci-fi where they discover that a second Earth exists, identical conditions, and then this contest opens that you can be the first person to voyage to Earth 2. and discover what it's like and discover your new self. And it follows this woman who is pretty much, her life has gone to shit. Like, she accidentally killed a child in a drunk driving incident and all this stuff, and she just, like, hates herself, is super depressed, and pretty much uses this contest as, like, her one last hope that she wants to leave Earth behind and possibly start a new life or whatever. And it's the whole movie pretty much leading to her trying to do that.
Cool.
Really good movie. Like,
and underrated because it didn't.
just like all of these are more things that people just haven't seen.
Yeah.
Like, when I mention them, people are always like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
It's like, but I have all of these, and I always try to like lend them to people. I'm like, "Watch this; it's really good." Like, but yeah, Sound of My Voice and Another Earth are both written by Britt Marling. She's a really talented writer. She also wrote the Netflix show The OA, which could also fall into this category because that's another one. No one talks about that show. I really like that show.
Yeah.
She's a really good writer. Just look up anything
renewed?
she's written. Yeah, it's got a season 2 coming out.
Cool.
So I'm super excited for that.
I think for another one that's kind of underrated, but it was a theatrical release, had an Oscar nom, 20th Century Women.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people went and saw it. I don't think it did as well as
I think it's
it
generally
should
well
have.
liked
Yeah.
too.
It got snubbed though.
Well, it only got nominated for screenplay, didn't it?
But the reason why it got snubbed is I think it should deserve more than just one nomination.
That was my
It
favorite
got
movie of 2016.
yeah,
I love that movie.
2017.
No, it was a 2016 movie.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember. No, but...
It's 16. Yeah.
Yeah, 16.
Anyways, it got snubbed. Well, it didn't win the category it was in, so they got snubbed there. But it also deserved other, like, recognition.
Mhm.
Supporting actors or actresses. I think they should have gotten a few more nominations than it did because it was a brilliant movie. It was my top for that year, I think, as well. It's in my top favorites of all time.
Elle Fanning's been killing it lately.
Absolutely.
Everything she's
great.
in.
She's just surpassed her sister so quickly.
Definitely.
Like, Neon Demon came out that year too. And she's awesome in that movie. Like,
I just think it was an incredible film, and it didn't really have trailers on TV.
no, I think I saw like one ad for it.
I saw one trailer online.
I think one of the reasons why it may have been overlooked is that it didn't really have that great of marketing.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't hear about it until you guys are like, "You want to go see this movie?" And I was like, "Okay, whatever." And I went and saw it with you guys. I was like, "Holy shit, this is fucking phenomenal!"
Yeah.
Right. So like, I think it marketing kind of failed it. But I think it's overlooked for sure, and I definitely recommend it to people because it's very heartwarming.
Oh yeah,
and it's a feminist movie, I think. So, and it wasn't in your face, like pushy. It was
menstruation.
Real.
Yeah,
but it was
just a mess.
It was real, right? It felt real.
Mm-hmm,
it came off as 100%.
Well,
real.
I love Greta Gerwig.
Greta Gerwig.
Anything she's in.
and
that's the movie that made me fall in love with Greta Gerwig.
That one,
She's
and
great.
we could toss Frances Ha in here too.
Yeah, yeah, too.
Just in terms of being like a very almost aimless comedy, but having such a charm to it.
Absolutely.
But I think that's why I was so excited about Lady Bird.
Yeah,
because she just made me fall in love with her.
Yeah, and that was her finally blowing up.
Yeah.
Like, I've been waiting for her to get noticed because she's
definitely
super talented.
Honestly, the first thing I completely forgot she was in until I kind of started following her stuff. The first thing I ever saw her in was the remake of Arthur.
Okay.
And that movie's not good. So it's kind of a shame that's the first thing I saw her in.
But she's just such a wonderful actress.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and writer,
director,
really good writer.
She got snubbed, I thought.
Screenplay.
Shape of Water is fucking amazing though.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
From
guess
a directing standpoint,
it didn't get snubbed for that reason. I think screenwriting.
It was a really good screenplay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm drawing a blank, but what did win for screenplay?
In 2016?
No.
2017.
Oh, okay. I think
For
we're
Lady
talking about
Bird.
2017.
No, Lady Bird.
No. Well,
what did win that year?
I don't remember, but
Me
that
neither.
was nominated.
But I meant,
But that's
like,
the
Lady
point.
Bird.
Like,
no, I meant Lady Bird. Like, what beat Lady Bird?
Get Out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they made a big deal about that.
Yeah.
Which was actually a good
Get
movie,
Out was
too.
a great idea,
Yeah.
too.
Good
Oh,
movie.
absolutely.
For his first movie, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Both of them were directorial debuts, that and Lady Bird.
And they're both great movies.
Yeah.
Lady Bird's better, but...
Just a little quick update. The phrase I meant to say earlier was swept under the rug.
Okay.
So just
Did
little...
you have to look that up?
No, I just kind of popped in my head there.
Okay.
I'm going to take this chunk of audio and put it back.
So...
Just figured I'd throw one in from a couple little indie directors you might not have heard of, but the Coen Brothers. Pretty,
yeah, I've never heard of them before.
But underrated. I still haven't seen that, but I'm kind of.
No one likes it.
Yeah, I know. But actually,
Suburbicon.
they only wrote that one. So. But an underrated Coen Brothers movie, Intolerable Cruelty. Looking up their filmography, because like Coen Brothers are my favorite filmmakers of all time. Like them and Edgar Wright. But looking up their filmography, trying to watch all the stuff, I come across Intolerable Cruelty, and I look at the poster, and it looks like a shitty early 2000s
romantic comedy.
Romantic comedy. It's got George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh yes, it looks exactly
looking
like
at the poster, and it's like, what the? This is a Coen Brothers movie?
Can you put the poster up for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. But as the saying goes,
the wrong poster now.
Yeah. Just put up the poster for
because
No Country for Old Men.
I would totally look at that and go, that's sappy romantic.
It looks like a
movie.
shitty early 2000s romantic comedy with
But
George
it was really
Clooney
good.
and Catherine Zeta-Jones. But as the saying goes, never judge a book by its cover.
So
it's actually a very clever movie.
What's
Just
the plot?
a little quick thing. George Clooney plays a divorce attorney, and Catherine Zeta-Jones plays like a gold digger, basically. And how like the relationship blossoms from that, and how their first meeting is George Clooney is defending her husband as they're divorcing, and she's literally divorcing him so she can make a bunch of money, and how it escalates from there. But I'll let you watch it. But yeah, very
they fall back in love.
It's actually a really smart comedy. Really
Cool.
well written. A funny scene involving a puffer and a gun. Yeah, you can look forward to that when you watch it.
Sounds fun.
Really, just a really good Coen Brothers movie. Really underrated comedy.
Does it feel like a Coen Brothers film, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Watching it, like, it's definitely does feel like a Coen Brothers movie.
Cool.
Really good performances from George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones as well.
Sweet.
You really like George Clooney when he works with the Coen Brothers.
Okay.
Like, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, he's great in that movie.
For another film that it's not necessarily underrated because it's got a huge following and it did really well, but let's say more so overlooked as a Scorsese film. And I think we had this conversation earlier. You know, if you think about what's the best top 3 Scorsese films, you would never put this film in the top 3. You never hear people talking about it. But it's extremely overlooked as a Scorsese film, is that it's Gangs of New York. And it's such an incredible movie, and like Daniel Day-Lewis puts something into that character that just...
It's like a cartoon character.
But yeah, it's a cartoon, but it doesn't come off cartoony, really.
No, it works. It
works so well. And that character's done he does that character so well that it blows my mind. I mean, it's my favorite. I don't know if we've done favorite list before? No. This is my favorite movie of all time. My number 1. The only thing I would change about this movie is Cameron Diaz.
Get her out of there.
Get her out of there. I mean, it was bad casting on that. Like, she can't do an Irish accent.
Picture that Eric Audrey bit. You're hired.
You're hired. You're fired.
So I don't know. I think that she kind of is the worst part of the film by far.
But that's the thing too. Is like comparing like Leonardo DiCaprio with Daniel Day-Lewis. It's like he's not doing that great. But comparing Cameron Diaz to Leonardo DiCaprio, it's like, man,
Liam Neeson was great in the beginning.
He was fun.
Yeah, I liked him as the priest. He was Liam Neeson, you know, and he could do the Irish accent perfect. You know why? He's from Boyles. No, I'm just joking. He's Irish. But yeah, no, I think it's overlooked as a Scorsese film.
I also think Casino falls into that category. Because everyone talks about Goodfellas, but no one ever mentions Casino, which is also a fantastic movie.
But people always say The Departed or Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Well, Taxi Driver is Scorsese's best movie, without a doubt.
I think it's Gangs of New York.
Like, Goodfellas is
Casino.
Great. Casino's great. No, I love Casino. Goodfellas used to be my favorite.
Casino and Goodfellas are my two
I saw
favorites.
Taxi Driver, and Taxi Driver's just fantastic.
He's got a ton of good movies.
But that's the thing. He's also got a ton of underrated movies. Like, comparing...
Bringing Out the Dead.
Bringing Out the Dead.
That's a good Nick Cage performance, too.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. After Hours.
Even Last Temptation of Christ.
Exactly. That movie's phenomenal. King of Comedy.
Yeah.
Most of his underrated stuff comes from, like, the 80s. Like, he had a chunk of movies that came out in the 80s that no one really ever talks about.
Yeah. But Scorsese's just a genius.
He's a very, very good director. Honestly, I'd say Silence honestly falls into that. Because that movie fucking tanked at the box office.
Yeah, it didn't do well. It was good, though.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Anyways, going back to Gangs of New York. No, sure. Amazing.
Another movie I want to toss out there real quick. Totally fell by the wayside because Birdman existed. But there is a German film called Victoria, which is on Netflix. It is the most impressive fucking thing I've ever seen on a technical level because it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, I think, and it is entirely shot on one take. And not a Birdman one take where it's edited in 15-minute chunks. It is literally one take. And it takes place entirely within 2 hours and 20 minutes. And it essentially follows this young girl who meets a group of dudes at a nightclub. And these guys end up convincing her to help them rob a bank within the course of 2 hours. And that sounds ridiculous, but when you watch the movie, it works so well and doesn't feel unnatural. And the lead actress and lead actor in it are two of, like, the best performances in any movie that came out in, like, 2015. And it's so bizarre because the movie has this tonal shift where the first, I'd say, hour of it feel like before sunrise or something.
Okay.
It's, like, the most natural, realistic dialogue, which is partly due to the fact that it's on one take, so a lot of it's improv, and it's actually just people having a conversation. But then it all of a sudden does this shift into, like, Run Lola Run, where it becomes a bank robbery movie and running from the cops and whatever, but it never breaks the take at any point, and it's awesome. Like, and pretty much the only reason people know it exists is because of that gimmick, and a lot of people think it's a gimmick movie because of that, but there's so much more to it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Just a quick one I want to throw out. I completely forgot about it, but the movie Hidden by that's film came out in 2015.
Duffer Brothers.
And it's the Duffer Brothers who did Stranger Things. Kind of overlooked now because of Stranger Things, but really just a I don't want to say fun, but just a really good like isolation like kind of outbreak movie.
Is it a zombie film?
I don't want to spoil it now.
AIDS.
Yeah. Damn it! I spoiled the movie, but it's basically just a family that takes like refuge in a shelter during an outbreak. It's got Alexander Skarsgård. Really, really, really good performance in that movie. Really good performance from all three people in that movie.
Cool.
Really good movie. Check it out.
For some reason, this one just popped into my head, but there's a movie from like 2012 called Compliance. I don't know if you've ever heard of. It is one of the most disturbing and weird concepts for a film I've ever heard of, but it's also almost entirely true. It's unbelievable, but weirdly believable because it's true, because it follows this young girl who her manager gets a phone call. They work at a fast food joint, like a McDonald's or whatever.
I know the one,
And the manager gets told that this young blonde girl who works there was stealing.
Yeah.
And she goes into the back to question her, and she's on the phone with a guy who says that he's a police officer. And the entire movie is pretty much just this series of this guy over the phone telling her to do increasingly stranger stuff, like cavity search the young girl for the money she might have taken and whatever, and she actually goes along with it because of the presence of possible authority. Mm-hmm. And it gets really, really fucked up with the kind of stuff this guy starts convincing them to do over the phone, and he's not a cop. It's this really twisted prank call that this dude's like totally getting off on it. And the whole time I was watching the movie, it was like, I was like, there's no way people would never do this, but this happened. Like, this actually happened. And I looked up the Wikipedia article after it, and the movie's like really accurate to how shit went down. Like, they let it go that far before anyone realized something was wrong. And it's this really bizarre, I guess, study of how far humans will go when they think authority is present.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strange, but it's really, really well made. Like, really well acted, really well shot.
So weird.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Thelma?
Sure. That came out last year.
Yeah, it came out last year. We saw it at TIFF.
Yeah.
Really kind of flew under the radar a bit. Like, we didn't even know it had a DVD release until we found it in a video store one day.
Great movie, though.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's pretty much about a young girl who moves away from home, starts at a new school, and starts having these seizures that seem to be induced by someone else in her class. Anytime she's around them, she starts having seizures. And don't really want to explain it any further than that. That's all I knew going into it.
Yeah.
And it takes you on quite the ride with where the plot goes in terms
definitely.
of that kind of thing.
Kind of reminiscent of Carrie, almost.
A little bit, yeah. It's definitely got a Carrie vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Another one for me is Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
I've never seen that one.
Me neither.
It's a really good Michael Cera film. I'm a big Michael Cera fan to begin with, but if you think about him, you kind of think of like Scott Pilgrim or Superbad and stuff like that. And this one kind of flies under the radar for not being like classic Michael Cera, you know what I mean? But like, it's a really fun movie for me, and it's kind of nostalgic. It flies under the radar with comparing things to like Juno and stuff like that. But it's a really good like indie style film, and the soundtrack's really good. And you don't like what's her face, but
Kat Dennings.
Dennings.
Does anybody like Kat Dennings?
I like her in this movie, but I don't know. I think it's kind of underrated, but Michael Cera is kind of a hit or miss for people. People either love him or hate him.
I'm sort of in the middle. I never used to be a fan of him until more recent roles.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked his role in Twin Peaks when he showed up. I thought that was really funny.
I just think he's kind of versatile, but kind of limits himself to comedy roles. But I think if he tried serious acting, I think he could do it. But he might be too far gone, where people just kind of associate him with being a comedian.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This movie I thought was really well. I just suggest it. I mean, to you guys.
I might watch it at some
It's
point.
an easy watch. It's on Netflix. I think. Or
what do you call it? You mentioning sort of like a romantic comedy kind of thing, because that's what it is, right?
It's kind of like a romantic comedy. Yeah.
That kind of just reminded me actually of. I think it's actually a Canadian film, but it's not a romantic comedy. I don't know why I said that, but there's a movie called Like Crazy that came out a few years ago. It has Felicity Jones and Anton Yelchin in it.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Really good movie. It's about a British foreign exchange student or whatever who comes over to, I don't know if it's the States or Canada. I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember really liking it. But it's pretty much about this girl who comes over and she falls in love with a guy in her class, and the two of them get really close, and then she gets deported in the middle of them being really close. And then it's them trying to keep a long-distance relationship while simultaneously knowing they can pretty much never see each other again because neither of them can afford it.
Wow.
And it's really good. Like,
it's a romantic tragedy.
Yeah, it starts out as a romantic comedy, and then it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
Like,
that's fucked.
It's really good, though, and I really like Felicity Jones, actually.
I love Felicity Jones.
A very underrated
Yeah,
actress.
she's really, really good.
She's really charming in everything she's in.
Just cute.
So, I was originally looking through some stuff. I was originally going to talk about Nice Guys.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Great movie.
That flopped when it came out.
Yeah, but I'm going to go back a little further to a movie Shane Black wrote back in 1991 that was directed by Tony Scott called Last Boy Scout.
Oh, okay.
That movie, I saw this back in high school, and watching Nice Guys reminded me a lot of Last Boy Scout, and I love that movie. I think that's an underrated action movie. It's an underrated buddy cop movie, underrated Shane Black movie. Like he wrote, with the amount of stuff he's written, it's kind of easy to see it kind of getting kind of buried underneath his other stuff, but it's really, really good. Basically, just like a quick thing. Bruce Willis plays like a PI sort of, and he's tasked with guarding the girlfriend of an ex-football player played by Damon Wayans, and she gets murdered, and it's basically the two of them investigating the case.
So it's funny.
It's funny. It's a good action. It's a really good action movie. Fucking brutal villain death when he falls into a helicopter propeller.
That sounds
fun. And it just gets shredded, and it's pretty fucking great.
Painless.
Would it?
If you went head first, I don't know.
But really underrated. It's got everything. It's comedy. It's really, really good action scenes. Good buddy cop movie, which Shane Black has perfected.
Oh yeah, he's a great writer.
Yeah, I mean, Christ, Lethal Weapon. Like, that's the defining buddy cop movie. Go check it out. Really, really, really good.
We're at like the 30-minute mark. You guys want to toss in one more each or something? I don't know.
I'm good with ending with Last Boy Scout.
Yeah.
I don't have any much more to say.
Alright, I got one more I want to toss out there real quick that's a horror movie, because we haven't really mentioned enough of those.
Okay.
Oculus.
Oh, okay.
That one flew under the radar like mad because the trailer looked like shit. I'll admit,
That tends to happen.
I did the same thing when I saw the trailer. I went, this looks awful. This looks like a really shitty Conjuring ripoff.
Mm.
And then I saw the movie and it's way better than The Conjuring. In every aspect. It's scarier, it's a better story, it has a crazy ending. Not necessarily a twist, but just, it gets nuts. It's pretty much it's Karen Gillan, I think, is her name.
Yeah.
She's the main character. But it pretty much follows her and her brother who dealt with a haunted mirror when they're younger, which sounds like a really weird setup that could go really campy, but the movie is actually terrifying in the way that it deals with it. And they pretty much rebuy this mirror as adults in order to destroy it and to film themselves doing it to prove that they've done it, kind of thing, and post it online, because the mirror actually has this whole like legend around it and all this stuff. And it's just everything goes wrong. Like, the second they bring that mirror into their house. Mm. And it's just a series of increasingly creepy and messed up occurrences. And it's, like, one of the few horror movies I've seen in the 2010s that genuinely got under my skin. Mm. And, like, not in the way that, like, oh, it's so disturbing, but, like, just in the sense that, like, I was so on edge the whole time I was watching it. And when it ended, I sort of had to sit there for a second and be like, ow. like it went somewhere I was not expecting at all.
Okay.
I love that about it.
Yeah.
Like,
cool. Very cool.
So yeah, I guess that's all we got for now. Maybe if we ever think of more of these, we can do a second installment or something.
Yeah.
Or like the 30.
Sure, we'll think of more.
Yeah.
Probably.
There's always more stuff to think of there. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen any of these, definitely check them out. Let us know if there's any you think we should see.
Yeah, any underrated films that you believe are underrated.
Yeah.
And we'll watch them.
We're more than welcome to watch anything you guys
I watch movies all the time.
Me too.
Too many. So yeah, catch you next time.
Catch you on the flip side.